Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
We have Mayowa, who is the managing director of UPDC Asset Management Limited, the fund managers to the REIT, and I also have here Brian Srinawi, the technical director of UPDC.
Staff of Nigerian Stock Exchange and the capital market stakeholders as a board. I welcome the board and management of UPDC PLC to this fact behind the offer presentation. I want to stress at this point that it is imperative for companies quoted on the exchange to take advantage of the opportunity presented by the facts behind the offer programs. They should endeavor to raise the quality of their investor relations programs, including disclosing information about their companies to capital market stakeholders regularly. We commend you for coming to present the facts behind the offer. We wish you a successful conclusion of the offer and look forward to welcoming future real estate investment customers of the Nigerian cloud. Thank you very much.
The greatest challenges confronting real estate industry in Nigeria is funding. And we took a decision 3 years ago that it was imperative for us to begin to seek alternative ways of financing CapEx rather than the typical short-term facilities which all of us have been running after in this industry. My presentation talks about the real estate sector, the REIT itself, the financial forecast, why we think this is a very good investment, and questions and answers to them. We have introduction about UPDC, I believe you know us reasonably well. I will just skip this. But let me say something about UPDC Asset Management Limited, because the fund manager is very critical to the REIT. And because after the cut-off date, it's the fund manager that drives the REIT. Jointly with the investment committee, we like to make that point that after the REIT is firmly established, it is then the business of the fund manager and the investment committee to drive the REIT. And the way we have constituted the investment committee for this REIT, there are 9 members, of which UPDC has only 2 representatives, even though we own 40%, we retain 40% holding in the REIT. There's a significant room for growth in that market. If we're able to solve the issue of retail financing is a major problem. But we think that with the reforms in the financial sector, particularly around PMIs, with the new capital base for PMI, which will take effect from 1st of April, and also the fact that under the new rules, PMIs are now obliged, they can no longer do development activities, so they can no longer compete with us. And I think they will be obliged to originate mortgages. And we also see that we're trying to establish a secondary platform for mortgages in Nigeria through the federal government. 3 main challenges of the real estate industry we must mention, because it's also important that we also bring this to the attention of the investing public. Number 1 is the land policy, land titling, and access to capital. For us, we think the greatest challenge to real estate development in Nigeria is land titling, because unfortunately the legal framework has not created a platform to have certainty of title anywhere along the transaction chain. And that's the major problem. It's a problem for investors, it's a problem for developers, it's a problem for financiers. The land user has compounded the problem, and but you'll see that in the recent times there have been a number of initiatives to address the issues around that area. Land policies emanating from that fact is the fact that under the land user, all land are supposed to be seized, are supposed to be invested in the governor. And what has happened again is that a lot of state governors, they've imputed revenue generation philosophy into that, and that has taken cost of land way beyond what we really think should be. The other uniqueness of our REITs, and I cannot overstress this fact, is the fact that, when you are evaluating a REIT, the first thing you look at is the sponsor and the underlying assets. This REIT is very different because the underlying assets of these REITs are already in existence. These are assets that we have built. These are assets that we have completed. They are fully tenanted. Look at the 4 properties, which I will show very shortly. They are fully tenanted. For some of those properties, the tenants have paid rentals in advance of up to 3 to 5 years. It means that from day 1, from the cut-off date, we're going to have to refund rent to the REIT. So this is a REIT that from day 1 will earn income. This is a REIT that from day 1 will have access to cash, and that is very significant. Here we have also shown some of our developments over the years. Trenchard Place in Ikoyi, Naga Towers in Ikoyi, Babylon Court, A. Thompson. These are all assets that we have built. Some we have sold, but we still manage. Part of our value proposition is facility management. So for all our assets, we wait behind to manage. Except, of course, if the buyers decide otherwise. We call this the pinnacle. We're trying to make the right statement in the luxury market in Abuja. We haven't done a luxury development in Abuja. So we're doing this JV with a partner in Maitama. We already have approval for this, and we're going to break the ground sometime next month. It's a small but very exclusive estate in Maitama, just 27 units. But speaking to the top end of that market, we believe there's still some demand. And like I said, we're building our first shopping mall. We're going to play big in the retail sector. This is our first shopping mall. We're already working on the second, also in Lagos. And going into the future, we're going to ensure that we play significantly in this market. Over the past few years, we've tried to identify where the opportunities are, and you can see why we need to deepen this market by floating this REIT, unlock value in our existing assets, and create further cash to ensure that we're able to follow up on this. So I commend this REIT to all of you. I commend this REIT to your clients. We believe that it's a good asset class, and also we're happy that we're coming to the market at a time when 6 months ago TBs were a major challenge to us. We had always known that the TB were unsustainable, but we followed about 500 to 600 basis points in the past 3 months. We think that's very good. We think it will fall further, and we think that this asset class presents a unique opportunity to invest in a substantive asset that guarantees stable and cash distribution. For a REIT, typically, we are obliged to distribute 90% of the earnings. So REITs typically will give you higher yields than equity. And I think that by the time this REIT comes to the market and will begin to run, you'll see that the returns are regular, the returns are stable. The press asked me a few minutes ago, are you sure? Some things have happened in the past. And I told them that this is a different asset class because your investment is tied to this asset. It's not tied to the equities of UPDC, it's tied to this asset. And because we are a 40% holder in this, in the REIT, we also have a responsibility to ensure that the REIT develop very strong returns so that we can still deliver what we want to deliver to our shareholders as well.